Alrighty, this is ALK coming to you on a Monday, and we are dealing with the big, beautiful bill. I know everybody been talking about the beautiful bill. I know some people ain't paying attention to what's going on, but if they really start watching the news and figure out a plan on if that bill pass. So it's Monday, I believe. This is Monday, May 26th on a Monday. And here we are 5 months into this administration. I believe that we have seen a lot and they have not accomplished a whole lot. So tonight we're going to talk about one of the key things with this the acts of the Republican. And I know everybody's trying to figure out what they're doing and how they're doing. Me, my concept was that maybe they will have a change of heart, but after Congress passed the passed the bill by one vote, and I begin to think now on the reality of what they're doing and how they are doing it. And I still do have a slight confidence in them that their hearts will change for some of the Republican. But the thing about it, just paying attention to how they doing it and what they're gonna do with it. So I looked at them. They passed the bill, but the Republican in the Senate, you know, pretty much lost hope for the Republican in the legislature. They are making things sort of complicated. They have no sense of direction. But I want to encourage everybody. Things gonna get better. I believe that because United States always bounce back either in a tragic moment or it's just something somebody have done. But all this and saying all that, but we still come to this point as the day the bill got passed a few days ago. So we dealing with something that is very important because people have to start realizing if all the cuts they say in that bill were cutting SNAP, cutting Medicaid, Carol. So we have to come to reality and face the fight that if that do happen, we have to start preparing for it. And I know people like, why do we have to? Sometimes you have to prepare for it till we get a better hand or a better situation that maybe the Democratic will take the House and the Senate and the midterm, and then we can get things changed. Now, the most important thing that's not going to change too much, but it will stop this drama that we are facing for the next 2 years. And hopefully, while we have the Democratic Congress and the Senate, the legislature, and we have a Democratic president, we can get things changed. But my goal is to get rid of that filibuster. I will promise you I'll get rid of that. I was just a waste of time. In order to pass bill and pass legislature that it would fit this country, we got to be at a point that we can pass it and do sound policy, not so policy, but sound laws, and go from there. We're gonna take a little chance to shape this economy. We're gonna take a little chance to balance it out. Now, what we can do as in 2029, we can start adjusting the financial burden on unemployment. Gonna be one to get the people back at work and get people running to get that back down low. And then the next one would be the pricing. we have to do something about the pricing because I believe that yes, I don't think companies should take the full blast of tariffs or recover from tariffs, but I believe that they should get to a point that they should cut prices for the sake of their customers, and that's what I feel about that. Now, if they not cut prices 2029, we have to make a law that they have to because you can look at all this time you've been in the business and you making billions and millions already. It shouldn't be that problem for you to take a hit and and your profit because you've been if you've been in business 20 years like McDonald's, Walmart, and all the other stores that been for a while and they doing great. I'm not talking about the small business places. We can pass a law to get them pass a law to get them funding until they are stable. So with that, getting that company getting that right there, a company will help the first year of 2029. So with doing that, we have to focus and we have to have one mind. And the thing about Democratic, yes, it's a party of a lot of party, and everybody have a different avenue approach. But the most important thing that we all need to stick and have one mind in putting laws together and not setting out saying, "Oh, I don't think that's right." Well, you don't think it's right, but it's right for the country. It's right for the people. And then when the opportunity given, you can put your law that you feel that benefits you for the whole nation, not just your state that you in, but benefits you for the whole nation. So we do that because I'm sort of skeptical with the Senate Republican, and it's if you notice they doing just like Congress did. They played around with it. A couple of them act up, fighting against each other, and that's the news and all that talk. Then President Donald Trump showed up, and then they got something worked out. That's just lame. So with the Senate, pretty much the act gonna be the same way. Because the one thing that we have to understand, if they had any use or any mindset to stop that bill will come to the Senate and be sent right back to Congress, saying that this is what we propose for the right of the people, not just giving the big business the tax cut. I take that out, cut it down. That'll be a no. Cutting Medicaid and SNAP and all of that that benefits the people, dime all that. Military spending, cut it because only thing that military spending is getting hyped. They paying Elon Musk, so I cut that. I don't even worry about it because the military, what they got now, they are stable. They can still function. I know it because I've been in the army. I know it's stable. I know what we can do and what we can't do because now we ain't been in the war in a while. So if we ain't been in the war in a while, that should be a financially high. When you're doing an audit, it should be great because we ain't been to war. Yes, we doing the training, but we ain't been deployed nowhere. So that should be such a expense. So we in the stage of training, which is the most you know, simple budget that you can have because you just training. You do the training and you what you always do, and that's a plus because you already know what they're gonna be doing. You know who gonna be where and all the planning, and bam, you can budget that like a I don't know like a plain piece of paper. Not that complicated. So if you do that, that will cut a lot out of the budget and expense because if we have a plan to go to war, yes, you know you boost up the defense budget, but back to the Republican, I'm sort of skeptic now with the Republican in the Senate because they're doing the same thing. I thought they would have said, "Hey, this bill make no sense. We're gonna send it back to you." And the thing about it, what make it so crazy, and I don't know, why would you pass a bill that the Senate do not agree with, but you want to pass an ugly bill? You want to pass an ugly bill, and then you start talking about, well, this is how it works. We budget, we get it to the Senate, and then they might do some cut and send it back. Why will you do all that? I just ignorant, and I just don't understand it. If Congress get a bill, they should be already talking to the Senate. They should be already gonna put this in the Senate hand. Why they haven't put it in the Senate hand? Because it make no sense. Because that's the more complicated thing, that when we looking at things like this and we paying attention to things like this, it's just crazy how they doing it. Now I would have never had Congress to get a bill and they vote on it and pass it, and then knowing that when it get to the Senate, it's not gonna make it. You Senate should already been having the bill and working something out and saying that, okay, do we have a agreement or everyone get a pre-vote, knowing that you have the numbers, and then you send it to them. You vote on it in Congress, then you send it to the Senate, and the Senate vote on it, and you know the votes is good, and it go to the president, and he sign it. And that's the simple plan, but they made it sort of difficult that they can say this is how we work in our party. We get things everybody like and something everybody don't like. But well, if you pass that bill and you cut Medicaid and you cut SNAP, you are not thinking logic, because it is more complicated when you're dealing with people, and Head Start closed and all of these people now are struggling. And if you're looking at the racial thing about it, it probably be a great plan because you're doing it because of race. But if you're doing it because you're helping citizens out, you wouldn't do it at all, because they need, some people just need assistance. That's no doubt in my mind. Some people need assistance. And I don't care how great this country would be. Some people still gonna need assistance. Mentally people gonna need assistance. Relevant gonna need assistance. People with low income gonna need assistance. And you say why they can't make it their own? Well, if they could make it their own, they won't need assistance. If we have a better economy, working with the local class, getting them better job, they wouldn't be in the struggle there. We could look at the mental rates, 725, I believe, I'm not mistaken. How long would it stay 725 out of 30 something years? That's complicated by itself. And here we are talking about, well, the low class, that's what they should work out, raise the minimum wage instead of raising and making the rich richer, which is crazy. And then we got a president sucking up pretty much the money, and it just make no sense. So, but they sit like and let all this take place and do nothing. If I had a jailhouse, I would put all of them in it, because soon as, I guarantee, as soon as the Democratic try to get something passed, they will make a big fuss. And then most people say, "Oh, we just got the play back the video what they saying." Hey, it doesn't matter at all. Republican voter, yes, I hope that I can get some voters, Republican voters. But if not, it won't even bother me, because if they voted for him once and the second time, it's to be hard. Now, if they have changed their mind and looked at things a little different, there should be the I say whoever running for president, which I'm put my name in the ballot to become a candidate. But if I win, I should win with a landslide, because who want the Republican, the last administrator, don't have a backbone, couldn't stand up for even the Constitution, couldn't even realize that they still got power, but they'll sit like they trying to hatch an egg out. Something it might hatch sooner or later, but then you have to come to a point like, what are they doing? We can't vote for people that don't have the ability to make sound decisions and know that a decision that somebody else made is just bad, just plain out bad. And then all these executive order, and they act like, well, we can't stop it. Yes, you can. You can make a law to stop an executive order. It's plain and simple. And then they can't even go out and stand up for what is right. They going out and put out this crazy, well, we supporting the president on his agenda. Well, the president agenda for to be for the people of the United States. That's plain. The Constitution telling that his duty is for the people of the United States. It said we the people of the United States, and we have to look at that. His job is to, as me being a citizen, the job that put me in the opportunity of equality that I can get a good job, not according to my race, not according to my who I know, the good boy system, but according to my merit, going to school, finish school, have the ability to do the job. That's the key. You can go to school and still not have the ability, but if you have went to school and have the ability to do the job, that's what it takes to put people in the right places that make sound decisions. So now we're looking at the Republican. I think they're gonna pass that bill. I don't want to say it, but after seeing them and listening to them, they're gonna pass it because not one of them said anything, and they talk about we not gonna let Medicaid be cut. Well, Medicaid ain't the only thing in that bill. That's just crazy. SNAP in that bill, it just ignorant the thing that they say because the bill is bad. Totally big, beautiful, bad bill. Since it's got some bees in it, so we have to look at that. We can't just sit by and say, "Oh, they ain't gonna get better." No, we can make things better. We don't have to sit by and just watch stuff just go downhill. Just look at it. Just go downhill. And that's the problem that I have with the Republican. They, especially the executive, and they saying they for the people. No, they ain't. If they were for the people, I will put. We will look at it and say we will put the president in line, saying, "President, if you don't straighten this out, what you doing? We're gonna put you for impeachment and be done with it. If you don't straighten up, hey, you got to do what you got to do." I know it's somebody else that can fit the strip. It sure ain't JD Vance. Throw him right along in there. Find somebody in the Republican Party. I wouldn't even pick JD Vance or whoever be president. I know he's vice president, but he don't act like no vice president. That just that's another story. It just it's just wow if you look at people and just look they make a drastic change for some reason. It's just like something that take over them and they don't even know they exist. They just zombienize, I say, and just doing things. Because if you follow their career other than President Donald Trump, we already know what he's about. But you follow the other career, you've seen them do some great things, and they stand for justice, equality, and they stood for that. But then they get amongst the few people that can make people turn into zombie minds, and then they don't know how to function. And sometimes you can see it in their face, but it's just something holding them back from doing what's right. And most people say, "Well, we doing the president agenda." Well, the president don't run this country. That's the thing about it. And most people say, "Well, when you get into office, You're gonna try to run it. Yeah, but I'm not gonna try to run it to be no dictator. I'm not gonna try to run it to do craziness. I'm not gonna try to run it to fill my pocket up. And we know the rules. Being the president, we know every time you become the president, you turn everything over or put in a some type of trust that it can be there, turn over to a family member. While you president, when you get out, you can do whatever you want to. You become the president, and we have to make it plain. You're not going down to more low every weekend, wasting taxpayer money, then flying everywhere, wasting taxpayer money, and then you go to the memorial service and you act like, oh well, it's just something, I guess, and it's just crazy. You it just don't stand for nothing really, but himself and his pocket, because he know the rule. If you were the president the first time, you know. And that's the thing about it. They can't say, "Well, he don't know. He's learned. He's learned." No, he was there. He spent 8 years to get ready for being the president, 47th president. When he was president, when Biden was president, he had 8 years to justify. And you got to understand that it just complicated when you see people stand by and let pretty much let him do what he wants, and this is president, and and then you got the citizens fighting against. These are the same people who voted for him. These are the same people who voted for the Senate. These are the same people that voted for the Congress. But yet they ain't saying nothing. They ain't trying to say, hey, these constituents voted for us. We should be doing the will of them. But they ain't said nothing. Well, we doing the general of the president. That just this is crazy. And then the most important thing, and I know there's a question that everybody asks and put it in their mind. They must don't want to be voted win the election and win the midterm. It's just like they don't want no part of the midterm. They want to lose. That's the plain term. It's just like they want to lose. It's like they want to say, "Hey, we need to get up out of here. We don't want to do this no more. We just need to lose the midterm because we don't want to stand up for what's right. We don't want to stand up for the Constitution. We don't want to stand up when he fighting against the judges and the judiciary judge and but they want just the same way when the judge out of Florida was taking up for Trump when he was going through all these trial and it was just a mess. And they said nothing. They just stood by and watched that and said nothing about it. You know, that's the thing that we have to look at. What is the heart of the people that are in office? And I hope we hold on and in the midterm it be a landslide because we can't deal with this. The only complicated thing that people have to understand that Democrat taking the House, either the House or the Senate, whatever, it'll help block everything that's coming through. Congress would be greater if we win, and I hope we do. Congress will stop everything, all of that, and then we'll do what we do best. And most people will be hollering like, "Oh, they're going to get him. They see him wrong." But no, you got to understand. You got to know the standard of the president, what he should be doing, and how he should be doing it. And most people say, well, it's changing. No, it ain't changing. That's the complicated thing about it. If it stay the same, it will benefit each party when they have a leader to be president. He fall in suit. If we keep changing everything, this country where it at now because as we changing presidents, it get worse and worse. It started with Obama. The most complicated thing when Obama did his 8 years, the growth of Dow. I'm not saying it because he's black. I'm not saying it because you got to think when he was dealing with, he didn't have Senate and Congress. I think it was a Congress that he had, but the Senate he didn't. But you got to think about it that we didn't have all the drama, and I know that if he had opportunity to change and make laws, he would have. But how can he do it if the Senate don't get it to him and set it on his desk? So that's a complicated thing. Then after that, Trump got it. It started going downhill then because he changed everything that was the growth was, the benefit was. But then Biden got it. It sort of changed it a little because he was trying to fix now with the 45th president was doing. He tried to fix it. Took all his 4 years trying to fix it, and then all the stuff he tried to change that people don't understand that would benefit you for us, especially paying student debt loan. I have a loan, and I'm paid most of it back, but I'm about to the end of it. I graduated 20, I think 2019 from the university, and I was like happy, but it was a bill that came with it. I was paying it as I was in school. You have that right to pay it while you're in school, but most of the time people can't do that. So you have to justify that they're not going to be able to do it. Some people can. So I was paying it as I went to school. Being in the military, I did it as I was in the military. I took classes here and there when I had opportunity when we wasn't employed or in a major training. Took it online until I got to the point when I my last year in the army, you had a lot of free time. So I went full time because I was getting out. They was really dismissing me. So I took that whole year, jammed the classes in now, finished it, graduated, and that's how I did it. But now I still have a bill, like half of it, and school is high, and it ain't nothing cheap. So now we come to the point that we're talking about Democratic and Biden. He couldn't do nothing without having both control of the Senate and the Congress. So we understood that. Most people don't understand that. You can only do things that if you benefit you, you have both the Senate and the Congress. You have both houses. And that's what you have to do because all this other stuff taking place, it's hard. So now we come with the 47th president, change just wipe everything out the way, stop everything. And the Republicans say they for the people, they're not because they do a lot of things to stop everything that's taking place. And it shouldn't be that way. We want people that's in office to benefit the country, not each other. Not blocking stuff because you can, not stopping stuff because you got to hate for the other party. We are keeping, we are doing business for the citizen. So with that, back to the Republican, they got some serious. We joke around. They got some serious dap. It's just hard to even look at them, and I try to follow them, and it's hard to sit there and listen to them, and and they almost have a straight face. And that term having a straight face when you're telling a lie, they almost, but you can tell in their eyes it's a lie, not true, and whatever they're trying to spew out, and and then we see news network when they go there, and I wouldn't even have them on the show. And most people say, "Well, you gonna be running for president, and whether they stop you, but I wouldn't care. I just go door to door or make my own event to talk to the citizen. But I wouldn't even bother it wouldn't even bother me if they wouldn't have me on there because they let them on there and tell that lie, and it just complicated, and and they try to get a talking point out the wood, Why are you gonna let a person come on there and they gonna just put out a lie? You should stop them right there and say, "Hey, we can't do that because what you saying is a lie," and just cut them off. Just tell them, "Hey, you got to leave. We tried to give you opportunity to speak, but this is a truthful network, and if you start telling lies, you off the show and done. You ain't got to have them on now." And most people say, "Well, you got to be fair." That is being fair. Just you don't have them on now. It's just crazy to have. It's like me and having somebody on the show, and I know he lied, but I'm gonna just sit there and listen to him. No, I'm stopping it right there. Hey, that's not true. You ain't got no evidence, no facts. So if you keep with another lie, I'm gonna cut you off, and you ain't got to be on this show. You know, you can say what you want, do what you want. Just what you won't be telling lies on the show. You have to tell the truth. And the thing about it, and I listened to and about the close out. But you listen to Johnson. I was listening to Johnson. He was talking. He said, "Yeah, we cut Medicare, we cut Medicaid, we cut Medicaid or the people that don't deserve Medicaid, and we doing this and we doing that." But you got to look at what they are doing. Yes, they might be cutting Medicaid for people that not don't supposed to be on there or abusing the system. They say, but then you got to think about it. If you ever try to get anything, any help or anything, you know, you could be crazy or you could be sane, but it is hard to get on them program for a person to get on now. So a fraudster to get on now, it got to be totally. He got to be the smartest person that's trying to get on now. I'm telling you, because it's hard to get on now. It's hard to get on these systems. And then you might say, maybe it's racist. It might be hard for black, but it might not be hard for white. So then my question would be, what are they cutting from? People have been on the system that shouldn't be on the system, but it's so hard to get on them system. It just terrible hard because most of the time, yes, you can. At cemetery, you might could do it online, but going in on person and people looking at you, get your paperwork, putting stuff in, and it's complicated to say they are cutting because people don't supposed to be on there or fraud or it's just amazing. So you got to come to the consideration that who is in the office letting this take place. But I don't think they let it take place because I tried and I listen. I know people that try to get on and try to get system and they turn them down. Any people that might have a disability, it's hard for them to get on 2 and 3 years, or sometimes five, or sometimes they even have to go to court to get on or get assistance, and it's just amazing. So with all that, I believe that if the Republican passed the bill, I don't think they're gonna change it as much. But if they change the tax cut, they take Medicare, Medicaid out, SNAP out, and then whatever they have, and just cut these rich getting richer. But I don't think they're gonna do it. I think they're just gonna adjust a little bit or add something in there, and then go from there. And then I'm gonna close with this. And they stood up today, and they come out saying, "Oh, this bill don't got to us," and we see a lot of stuff that is a stopping point. I don't even believe that. It just crazy. They've been fumbling around in Congress trying to get this thing passed in the Congress, and then now they want to come to and say, "Oh, something is bad. This bill is bad," and they didn't get a copy of this thing before they can look at it, but they can talk about it up to now. Senate should have been going over there already talking to them, hey, it's not gonna pass. We need something better because it shouldn't be that complicated. It's just crazy because if you gonna pass a bill, you surely got to make sure Congress, I mean, the Senate gonna pass it because it'd be a waste of time. Just, and they said this how Congress work and this how the government work. That it shouldn't work that way. That's crazy. Anything think it work that way. You know, oversight that way is it's not oversight. You look at it, you look at what's there. You already don't discuss it with them, and then they take the vote. And we know each party not gonna vote for something some other party put out there. But we got to take things in a different direction, and we got to do it quick. And we hope that midterm help us out, or the Republican get some sense, a sense of mind, and say, I hope that when we look at this bill, we send it back to them and don't even try to mess with it. Don't even deal with it. And I know I wouldn't. I wouldn't even deal with it. Send it back to them and say, hey, you got to be something better than this. And then close the door. But it's a Republican. We just, now at that point, we just don't even trust them. We don't even rely on them to doing what's right for the people because they don't sit down. It's been 5 months. It's about to be June, and nobody stood up for anything that even looked wrong. Nobody stood up when they defined the judicial tell them to bring one person back, facilitate that bring a one person bike or bring it back, work it out, however you look at it, and they saying they understood it to be different. And then it ain't like the United States. I talked about this once before. It ain't like the United States can just say, "Hey, we're going to get him, be done with it," and they act like we're not doing it. That's what they're doing. But other than that, that's all I have tonight. I wanted to come on and talk. I do this every Monday, but I'm working up trying to get more subscriber. I'm gonna start going public. I'm just putting some things online. As of now, I start passing out door to door real soon. I want to take the first 6 months of 2025 to just put some stuff on video for people can catch up with me. Then, like I say, 2026, I start going nationwide, start dealing with some of the Democratic Party, trying to get online, talk to them, talk to their committees, and go from there. But it's just a process that I'm doing. I'm trying to get to the point that I slowly get into this, and then by 2027, I hit the road a little hard, start saving funds, putting stuff together, getting events set up, and then hopefully 2028 we at a good standard. Hopefully, my plan is hopefully that we'll be at a point that we can be somewhat saying that we can do it, we can come out on top. So with all that, when people start, when you see the video and understand what I'm about, I'm about the people being successful and building up the people and not letting the government destroy the low income, middle class, and the upper class. The upper class can still make money, but they don't have to make big chunks of it and leave the poor, the low class, at a point that they barely making it. And we want to change this system that everybody have an equal opportunity to be successful. This country is so great, and I be trying to figure it out. And most people say it's the people, but I you know, I debate that saying that if we have a good economy, a good moving economy, getting people to work, talking to people to make sense to them, and get to a point that we can change this system that everybody can feel comfortable and get a job, get it in the workplace, and not always trying to shove low income people and these factory jobs. And that what kills me. Trying to throw them in these factory jobs. Get them to a point that they can get a trade that is somewhat update. What I mean by update, to a point that it is available to make money and not just here and there you make money. You get a contract, you make that money, but you might not get a contract the next year. But get them in a business or workforce that is long term, not just short term, not trying to make a quick money. And then work on all of this, especially with people with a somewhat a not so good record. Start working on that, trying to get them to come back into being a citizen, get them to a point that they can have the same equality as an average person because they went to jail or went to prison should stop them from getting a good job. If they got the credential, get them to school or get them a certificate or whatever field, whatever thing they like doing or able to do with their ability, get them in that, get them a job, get them some counsel to help them along the way. So you got to do all these things for this nation to be better than what it is. And I believe that we could be a great nation. I always stand by the United States. Like I say, I wouldn't leave it. I wouldn't I wouldn't abandon it. I fight for it, which I spent 20 years, a little over 20, and I fight for it. And that's my goal. But if they shove me out saying that we don't want you no more and you can't stay here, I fight my bags. But as long as they ain't saying that, and as long as they trying to push me out, I'm good. I fight for this country. I stand for what is right. I build up on a plan, agenda that they push towards success and not putting this country down or this nation down for the like of, oh, I got a bright idea. We do what's best for the nation. After being a nation so many years, it should be hard for us now. It shouldn't be hard to be successful as a nation. It shouldn't be hard to be friendly with other countries. That's the best thing. My motto is don't do crazy things. One of the crazy things is tired. Don't do crazy things with turds. That just don't even make no sense. But furthermore, I believe that we will come out of this. It's a lot of things that we got to change, a lot of places we got to go, and a lot of things that we got to do. We got to get out there, talk to the people, get them people back to their thought process, saying that we're working for them. And the only thing that if we do it, get the people out there vote. And next time the Republican and the Yahoo start all that tripping stuff, my people gonna be there harassing them, because they was the last time. But we got to come up with a force as well to protect our citizens with going to the poll. If they have to hire somebody, we should be hiring somebody right now. We should be hiring the police, telling them, "Hey, we have an election this time." They should be already out there. They don't do nothing no way, other than try to be in some type of gunfight or chase somebody down. They should be there. It should be a force there, standing with their police car, flashing their lights, whatever they got to do, enforcing the law that these people come with these guns and all this. Talking about they are it's their right to bear. Well, it's not your right to harass people. You ain't got no use for no weapon at a voting event, at a voting site. That's just crazy. You should be in line voting. That's it. You should be walking around no weapon, intimidating people, and that's something that we need to stop even before we get there. We should be planning now as Democratic, Republican leader committees start planning with the police in that city, saying that we need your help. We need some 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 police out there standing to protect the voters, and then we done with that. So that's all I have tonight, and I hope to see you on next Monday. That we'll take it a little higher. We'll see what happened for the whole week, and then I'll come back and tell you how I feel about it and my goal. But the most thing that I hope I can get your vote as you see this video and support me. I do have my cash app on this site. You want to donate, but I tell you, if you donate $1 or two, that's fine with me. The more people I get, the more money I try to ask from you. I just want to build up, help me build up to a point that I can get my campaign, off the ground and running. And then we'll go from there with the support. And maybe when everything gets settled, I'll be able to invite people on this YouTube video. We'll have a conversation. But other than that, I'll see you next Monday, 9 p.m., same time. And then I hope everybody have a good rest of the week.